Hey there, pilgrims. Welcome back to another dose of Venture Pill.
Yeah, first up, we will break down Gumloop, hot off a $17 million Series A led by Nexus Venture Partners to fuel the pursuit of a 10-person unicorn. That's exciting. Next, you'll hear about Oura and their $200 million Series D and how the fitness wearable company is looking to compete in the market through some interesting partnerships.
Love Aura. And lastly, stick with us for a breakdown on xAI's $6 billion Series C. As Elon Musk continues to turn up the heat, it's getting toasty in the
Oh, yeah.
great AI race. We covered the startup's $6 billion Series B back on episode 123 just about 8 months ago.
Wow, they didn't even raise more? What's that about? Some awesome companies to get into this week. We're excited to dive in. Let's do it, partner.
Here we go.
You see here, kid? You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after or what came before. You just gotta bend your knees, take a deep breath, and jump.
This is Venture Pill, your weekly dose of startups and venture capital. We break down recent startups in the news and interview founders and investors to help you stay informed in the evolving world of venture.
All right, we got Gumloop first up, and they're hot off a $17 million Series A led by Nexus Venture Partners to fuel their pursuit of building a 10-person, $1 billion company. That's incredible right there.
Wow. Yeah, that's each employee is responsible for $100 million essentially.
Yeah.
That's
Unreal.
crazy.
Unreal. So I love the ambition here. We'll get into what they're actually doing and if this is even feasible. But this round included impressive participation from first round capital as well, YC, and a good list of angels, including Max Mullen from Instacart, Sean Puri, notable podcaster and angel investor, some others as well.
Yeah, and so getting right into the company story here, Gumloop actually started less than 2 years ago by Max Brodeur Orbas and Rahul Behal out of a bedroom in Vancouver. You've heard of the startup that is made in a garage? How about a bedroom in Vancouver? The two took note of the recent waves in AI, and specifically, they got involved early on in the AutoGPT Discord, a community of people excited about the prospect of AI agents. They noticed that there were not only technically skilled folks getting in on the action, but also a lot of non-technical folks, non-engineers. And so they began to tinker with this side project that helped those non-technical folks take advantage of the advancements in AI using AutoGPT.
Yeah. And so in less than 2 years, today, Gumloop has grown into a platform that lets anyone have the impact of an engineer through AI automation. And that AI automation they describe as being extremely easy to build. Anyone and everyone can now automate with AI, no engineering degree required. It's also very secure by default. So you can now integrate even the most sensitive data into your automations with confidence. And your entire organization can build in a secure AI sandbox. It's shockingly powerful. So automations you build in an afternoon can now potentially replace entire software products that your team potentially was spending thousands of hours and dollars on annually. So big impact there. And lastly, it's shareable. So you can create tools that feel so magical you'll want to share them with everyone you know.
Yeah, addressing a lot of key points in the AI ecosphere there for sure. And so some examples of what their platform can do, they'll be linked in the show notes for more details. You can click on the links. But for instance, there's a competitor ad analysis, essentially being able to break down advertisements, email invoice processing, LinkedIn outbound messaging, video to blog generation, which I know you and I mentioned specifically for this podcast, could be a pretty cool application, as well as calendar/customer research. And it just, kind of feels like there are no limits on what it can be used for. And that's the beauty of it. Get in the sandbox and start digging, start making sandcastles essentially.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, if you've ever heard of Zapier, which is a common tool for automating workflows. And I know, people within my company use it as well. This seems to be just like that, except on steroids and optimized for the AI era.
Yeah, it certainly reminded me of that. But sort of AI native, right?
Mm-hmm.
And built with that in mind and with that future in mind. Yeah, those are some cool examples you just went through, and it seemed like through reading their blog post that they also learned of a whole list of new use cases that they wouldn't have ever thought of. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the really cool part about building something like this, is that there's untapped potential and ideas that people will come up with that they would have
Right.
never thought possible. They claim that they actually didn't even need to raise this $17 million Series A, but they did so to really capitalize on the opportunity from a few perspectives. Obviously, the timing of this inflection point that we're seeing with AI and AI tooling, they have a chance to fundamentally change how companies leverage AI, and so they wanted to pounce on that. They also, kind of wanted. This is also from a perspective of focus. They want to build the best possible product for their users, and raising money means that they can do that now with no external distractions and no motivations aside from making something that people truly need and love to use. And lastly, it's this talent density component. Obviously, if they're looking to build a 10-person billion-dollar company, they're going to need those 10 people to be the absolute best people for their roles. And this will allow them to really truly only hire these A plus hires.
Yeah, no, it all makes sense and explains why they went ahead with this $17 million fundraise despite not necessarily needing it. Definitely an important consideration, and balancing all the different perspectives as to why you should or should not be raising capital from venture capitalists. It's definitely a unique approach for the company, and certainly a potentially great case study for how a one-person unicorn will be built in the future, which for all the pill heads out there might recall us discussing with Tyler Emonson about a year and a half ago, back on episode 69, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were talking about how one person is now able to build something so much stronger and better than historically a team of 10 or 100 might be able to, thanks to leveraging the power of AI. And lastly, just getting into the payment structure, the platform's actually free to use on a credit basis and offers monthly subscriptions for more usage for smaller teams, and even enterprise pricing. So this incorporates everyone from individuals to startups to even Fortune 100 companies. And Gumloop is already off to a hot start, helping people and companies be more efficient and automate their workflows.
Yeah, and it's amazing that they already tout a Fortune 100 company as a customer. I mean, that tells the story. Um, yeah, I'd be excited to try this out. I know you and I are always trying to. It's hard with AI. You want to stay out ahead of the game, but it always feels like if you're in the tech world, like we are and are staying up to date, it seems like you're just constantly behind. But then
Mm-hmm.
you remember that vast majority of people don't even know half of the AI tools out there. And so, I know we always are trying to stay out in front as best we can. And it seems like a tool like this could be, for people who aren't technical or very technical like us, it's exciting to be able to get a glimpse into what engineers are able to build, just like from idea to execution. So
Yeah.
I find it very cool.
Yeah, no, agreed. I kind of almost think about it like a supplement stack, like an AI stack. Like, obviously, OpenAI and ChatGPT is kind of like a default for a lot of things, but there are so many tools out there that serve so many different needs. And again, while ChatGPT can do just about everything, there are certain tools that are specialized for, if you're a designer and you need help with designing images, or if you're specifically a writer, like maybe you want to use Claude or something else. So it's just so interesting, agreed, just to explore what's out there. And seems like Gumloop is another to add to the list to experiment with, right? Seems like it can be used, it can be helpful for our daily, day-to-day work, but also for a massive Fortune 100 company to automate and just be more efficient all around.
Yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, we keep tabs on everyone. We were just talking about the pill folio, but this one, I think we'd be excited to actually check out and potentially integrate into our process with the podcast. So anything from something small like what we do on a week-to-week basis to something huge like you just said. So
Yep.
that's pretty cool. All right, we are rolling into our next company, and that is Oura, which just announced their $200 million Series D with key participation from Dexcom and Fidelity Management. This brings their valuation to $5.2 billion.
Wow.
Awesome announcement there for Oura. This comes shortly after they announced a partnership with Dexcom. This was to cross-promote and cross-sell their products with the long-term goal of providing people with the most comprehensive health wearable and platform. And for those that don't know, Dexcom is the $30 billion public leading provider of continuous glucose monitoring devices.
Yeah, good highlight of that key partnership there. Getting into the origin story for Oura, it was actually founded 10 years ago in Finland as a pioneering sleep tracking ring and has since sold 2.5 million rings, is now profitable, and is seeing 2 times growth year over year. Truly a well-oiled machine. And I feel like people have likely seen the commercials. I see them a lot when we're watching football or something like that, but seems like they are really doing a good job of getting the word out, and from NBA players wearing them to celebrities, things like that. Like they really have become quite prominent and almost an accessory, like part of a wardrobe, which is cool. Yeah. Today, the ring measures more than 20 biometrics like heart rate variability, blood oxygen levels, body temperature, menstrual cycles, and movement. And now also glucose monitoring with that Dexcom partnership. Some of you actually may remember, again, any pill heads out there may remember us mentioning Oura in our breakdown of Natural Cycles last year, which is an app that helps women track their menstrual cycles.
Yeah, and that is a glimpse into the theme of partnership that we're going to break down further here. But first, I think it's also worth mentioning they're selling this all over the place. Amazon, Target, and they've started selling business to business. So as you said, well-oiled machine. They're really expanding their go-to-market strategy, and it's impressive to see a company at a $5.2 billion valuation really continue to innovate and pursue partnerships, which I think was an interesting strategy. Lots of progress. They've partnered with big companies and small, and that seems to be a theme that sums up their approach to this crowded market. Many of us have used or are certainly familiar with Apple and their Apple Watch, Fitbit, kind of the OG in the space. It's certainly still around, Garmin, many others. And then of note, we like and know Whoop as a similar company in the startup space, making a name for themselves in the wearable space. So it's certainly crowded. This partnership strategy seems to be of note, and we wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Right. And so this partnership strategy also includes the acquisition of several companies in the past couple of years for Oura. Namely, the company recently bought Sparta Science, which is an enterprise software company that developed a platform to collect and analyze health and fitness data from third-party sources. They also acquired Veri, which is a personalized metabolic health company. And so instead of relying solely on the one product, which has clearly been successful thus far, right? Like people still love it for its sleep tracking abilities. They have much bigger ambitions and a vision for a more comprehensive and collaborative offering for businesses and individuals alike. So on top of that, being able to track your sleep, one of the best sleep trackers in the industry, there's also the glucose monitoring, and all the other benefits that we mentioned are kind of incorporated in this one sleek ring.
Yeah, it's really cool. With the funding and the strategy, they're really going to look to expand their over 1 million active users to new groups like pre-diabetics with the CGM through the Dexcom partnership potentially, plus other businesses and organizations like military groups and any companies that are on the cutting edge of health looking to invest in their people's health. So I thought it was awesome just to see how a company goes from the first 10 years of really getting their name out there, and you see these prominent commercials and an established brand, and now looking to take that next step of growth to potentially go public. I think has to be like, how are you going to compete with those big names and the giants like Apple? really carve out a sustainable space for themselves in this market. So to me, that's what this round is all about, and we'll see if that propels them to an exit here in the near future.
Right. And just a doubling down continuation of the wearables trend that you and I have covered for a long while now. But certainly, as two health conscious guys, you and I are always like appreciating these startups that allow people kind of behind the curtain access into their health, and whether that's sleep or what you're eating. Like, these are companies that we love, and not just us. I think it's clearly a growing industry with a $5.2 billion valuation achieved by Oura. And I know it's also one of the more exciting alumni ventures portfolio companies. So certainly one we've had our eyes on for a while. Most of the employees here have a ring, and yeah, it's really awesome. I definitely recommend people check it out, because you will learn a lot more about your health than you even thought you'd care to know.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, and it's so sleek. Like, I think that's maybe an oversimplified differentiator, but the fact that it's a ring versus a wristwatch or band is just a little bit less cumbersome. That's one thing I didn't
Yeah.
really like about my Whoop, about my Apple Watch. Can't say I've tried Oura Ring yet, but I think more and more I'm thinking about it. Like, just something a little bit more sleek and feels like more part of your body. But the scary part is that may eventually be actually part of our body. The trend is going wearable to implant, which is
Yeah.
we laugh about it. But that may be a reality sooner than we think.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a scary, funny type of thought. But also, yeah, it's just getting back to the ring. I think the fact that it actually is, wrapped around your finger allows for better tracking than around your wrist. Like, I love my Apple Watch just for the functionality of it and the basic kind of health data that it gives me. But this is just a vast improvement if you're truly serious about tracking, how you slept and how what you're eating is impacting what you're doing, like things like that. So
Yeah,
all cool stuff.
it's awesome.
Alrighty, closing out this week's dose is someone who hasn't been in the news much recently. It's Elon Musk's xAI, after securing another $6 billion in Series C funding, with major players involved like Andreessen Horowitz, Kingdom Holdings, BlackRock, Fidelity, Lightspeed, Sequoia Capital, Valor Equity Partners, NVIDIA, AMD, and still several others. We had to cut it off at some point, but just to give you a brief kind of teaser of the big players behind the scenes here, that is quite an impressive lineup.
That reminded me of like side effects may include vomiting, diarrhea, nausea.
if I read the whole list, it definitely would have had to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
wow.
Super impressive cap table. Quite the lineup Elon has assembled there. This round values xAI at $45 billion, which represents a nearly doubling in valuation since last time. Last time was a $6 billion Series B, which we covered back in May, back on episode 123, bringing the total raised to $12 billion in just 8 months. No one raises capital quite like Elon. It's truly insane. I feel like he's just got, Mark Andreessen on his speed dial, all these other big players. He just calls them, says, "Hey, we're about to raise. We got to raise." And they're, it's just incredible the amount of money this guy is able to raise and also accumulate in terms of net worth. But that's a separate thing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're raising 12 billion and that's like 2% of your net worth, I mean, yeah, I could raise 2% of my net worth. That's easy.
Yeah, and that also partially explains why there's so many people participating. I mean, again, it's household name type of firms, but it's just such a massive round, right? Like, if each company contributes 100 million, that is so many companies that need to get involved. So really impressive. Actually, just of note here, per the Financial Times, only investors who had backed xAI in its previous fundraising round were permitted to participate in this one. So he is kind of keeping it within the family, not necessarily looking for outside investors. He's got his loyal bunch there that he's comfortable asking for $6 billion from.
Yeah, half the top VC landscape.
Right.
No, it's truly unique what's going on here. At least with Elon and that style of fundraising. But we'll get into how that compares to some of the other AI companies shortly. But a little bit more on the overview of the company here. It was founded by Elon only back in 2023, and they focus on advancing AI to drive scientific discovery and global innovation. A little bit of a different angle on their mission in terms of
Hmm.
AI that we'll also clarify in a little bit as well. And their flagship model, Grok, which I've come to use a lot, integrates seamlessly with X, or formerly Twitter, to provide real time conversational, analytical, and generative AI capabilities. It's pretty cool. We were talking about our AI stack, and I've tried to mix that in a little bit more as well,
Hmm.
alongside the others you mentioned. Per the company's blog post, xAI has made significant technical progress in the 8 months since their Series B. We'll name a few here. The first being Colossus, which is their state of the art AI supercomputer, which leverages 100,000 NVIDIA Hopper GPUs for unparalleled computational power. This
Wow.
was built in just 122 days, and it provides xAI with a significant infrastructure edge, and plans are underway to double its size to 200,000 GPUs using NVIDIA's advanced networking solutions. Obviously, NVIDIA, one of the many you named on the cap table, so
Hmm.
an advantage there in that partnership.
Yeah, an advantage, and keeping with the theme of these strategic partnerships, people getting involved in the cap table and
Yep.
cross promoting or cross selling amongst each other. On top of Colossus, there's also Grok, which we mentioned is their kind of flagship AI model integrated into X, analyzes global events, performs web searches, provides citations, and generates images via its Aurora model. So Grok 2 is the latest version that's currently available, offers advanced reasoning capabilities, just basically a step forward from that first model. And Grok 3, which is xAI's most powerful model yet, is currently training and is expected to be released soon. And then another thing we wanted to mention was the xAI API, another one of their recent initiatives that got them comfortable to raise another round. And this API gives developers programmatic access to xAI's foundation models and is built on a new bespoke tech stack that allows multi region inference deployments for low latency access across the world. A lot of big words there. Not going to pretend like I know them all. But one thing we wanted to mention here was just when we broke this company down on episode 123, and feel free to go check it out because we got way more in the weeds. One of those big kind of fork in the roads between Elon and Sam Altman at OpenAI was essentially the future plans for OpenAI. And so Elon wanted it to be open source, essentially make it open to the public to use and create and build with,
Mhm.
whereas Sam and the other executives at OpenAI opted to keep it closed source. And so, if nothing else, this is at least Elon sticking to his word or sticking to his morals, what he thinks is more ethical, and opening up the doors to this xAI model.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Some numbers and then kind of a backdrop of what the market looks like for comparison here. xAI generated approximately $100 million in revenue in 2024. Honestly, that's more than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Be curious to hear what the breakdown of that revenue was. For comparison, Anthropic reportedly generated roughly $1 billion in revenue in 2024, and OpenAI generated nearly $4 billion in all of last year. So, a small percentage, but I think the valuation is a little bit closer than the proportions there in terms
Hmm.
of revenue. Anthropic secured $4 billion from Amazon in November, bringing its total raise to 13.7 billion. OpenAI raised 6.6 billion in October, bringing their total raise to 17.9 billion, and that being at a $157 billion valuation post money. And so just massive amounts of money flowing in to really these three companies alone is huge. But overall venture capital activity in AI was around 31 billion across over 2,000 deals in Q3 of 2024 alone per PitchBook. So that's incredible there. Some numbers to give it context.
Yeah, those are incredible numbers. Really feels like numbers or zeros at the end of numbers just go out the door when it comes to these massive AI companies. Feels like these three are really Anthropic and OpenAI have kind of emerged as the mountains above the clouds in terms of the companies that are leading the AI race. But don't sleep on xAI. I wouldn't recommend sleeping on Elon Musk and his capability to just build anything really. So
Yeah.
excited to keep tabs. I'm sure we'll be covering their next $6 billion Series D in 6 months from now or something.
Yeah.
But lastly, just a note on future plans with this fundraise. So like I just said, Musk has actually gone ahead and already notified investors that he plans to raise more capital in 2025. We don't anticipate that that'll be a problem. I think
Nope.
if you come along for the ride this far, you see the vision and you believe in Elon. So no problem dialing up another couple $100 million his way. xAI also plans to further accelerate their advanced infrastructure, ship more groundbreaking products that'll be used by billions of people, and accelerate the research and development of future technologies that enable the company's mission, which you mentioned a couple minutes ago. The mission is to understand the true nature of the universe. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, amongst all the vast projects and excitement going on at xAI, again, just kind of Elon sticking to what he believes the future of AI should look like. xAI is primarily focused on the development of advanced AI systems that are truthful, competent, and maximally beneficial for all of humanity. So pretty slightly vague, but cool kind of mission and ideas here for xAI and its bright future.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about Elon, and you can certainly question his motivations across everything he does. Obviously, as you said, not really in the news recently. I'm actually reading. I just started. I've had this book on my bedside table for a long time. Dusted it off, and I'm started to read the Elon biography written by Walter Isaacson, who's a great biographer. I read his Steve Jobs one. He's got a bunch. But it's interesting how I'm already like very, just maybe like 50 pages in, and he's already painting sort of the connection between Elon's early childhood and what he went through in his upbringing and what he's doing today. And when you said that, like, to understand the true nature of the universe, this was something that is sort of at the core of his curiosity from a young age. And so it's really cool to see him connecting that, how I'm learning that in the book, and to see in real time Elon kind of just reiterating his beliefs and his goals. And I think it's connected to what he's doing with SpaceX and all his goals for humanity. Like, whether you believe that or not, I believe that there's a lot of truth to that, and it's connected to his deep-rooted upbringing and curiosity from a young age. So just thought I'd mention that. And yeah, I read. It's pretty cool.
That New Year's resolution is off to a hot start, I see. No, that is an interesting tidbit, though, and I will definitely be asking you for the book when you make your way through it. Or maybe I'll just get it myself, because definitely, again, politics aside, just such an interesting, fascinating thinker and mind of this 21st century. So
yeah,
exciting to see how, whether it's SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, xAI, Boring Company, whatever it may be, like, he's really outer space, below Earth, like, he's really everywhere in between. He is truly, you can't say he's not trying to, find the true meaning and complexities of the universe. So it's awesome. I would love to read that.
And he might buy TikTok. Like, you just never know. You just really never know with him. He's incredible. One of a kind. So yeah, it's always cool to have an excuse to talk about Elon. And you got to respect what he's doing in one way or another, even despite any disagreements politically or whatever, whatever you might think of him. But he's truly incredible.
Yeah, and I think at the time that $6 billion Series B was the largest raise in pill history. I think we have a draw right now from this $6 billion Series C as well. So maybe crank it up to 6.1 or something, Elon, just so we can break the tie next time. But no, definitely a company that we're always looking, we're seeing in the headlines a lot, and we'll be on the lookout for the next time they raise.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and yeah. I don't know how many companies we covered more than twice, maybe a couple. So
Built.
built, yeah, built back in the news. Yeah. Um, so he's out for a bunch of awards, Elon, with the pill. So not only
Yeah.
all those other accomplishments, but the accolades with venture pill add to the
Yeah.
resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, well, all right, partner. I know you and I could ramble on and on about Elon and all that he's doing, but we'll spare our listeners. We can keep doing that offline. But pleasure seeing you again, partner. Happy New Year to all of our listeners out there. Hope your resolutions are going strong, like Sam's reading resolution. And thanks again for listening to this week's dose.
Yep, good to be back in the saddle, partner. And as always, appreciate the pilgrims for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.
Y'all take care.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another dose of startups and venture capital. And as always, we appreciate our pilgrims spreading the word about the show. Share with your friends and help someone else make the pilgrimage. See you next time.
She told me that she only bumps my music when she's lonely. Thinks my vibe's a little low-key, okie dokie, it's alright, but wait, I don't know how to do things different.